Alright, so this video is about visual potential. Just wanted to show my infographic first. And then start off with my models. Um, so number potential is I wanted to kind of work directly off of my original layout, which right over here it kind of says 1 and 22, 1 and 8, and it kind of highlights the one number in that many to exploit the visual potential. So for numbers, you want to show how much or how many visually. So when I started off, I kind of did the exact same thing. I had a list of figures and then the number was actually filled in. So I wanted to kind of show ethnicity, and it wasn't really working because there was no demographic information in there. It wasn't showing how many of them were African American. It was just showing the percentage of them that were African American. So what I ended up doing was just creating one figure for each ethnicity that had a high birth rate. And then instead of having a number filled in, I just had a kind of percentage of the figure filled in. So the number potential is exploited by the filling rather than the number of figures. So then going to appearance. So I wanted something to fit in this little place where they had the national rank, but I didn't want to put the national rank there because I thought that the way that they numbered it was a little bit confusing. So I wanted something to fit there, but I wanted to create something more like this with the plane flying over Australia because I thought that um, it exploited visual potential because it's like I can kind of figure out what's going on there without actually looking at the title. So with mine, I started off actually with North Carolina and then the stork flying over because I thought that pretty much mirrored the plane flying over. But when I showed it to people, they kind of felt that the stork carried the wrong connotations for an unplanned teenage pregnancy. So what I ended up with, I played with like bottles, pacifiers, stuff like that, and they none of them really fit. And actually, the sperm one fit the best. And um, without even actually looking at the title, I can tell that it has something to do with pregnancy or babies, and I can tell that it has to do with the state of North Carolina, and I can tell that just by looking at this appearance image rather than looking at the title. Alright, moving on for location. So actually, in this middle section of my original layout, it had the counties within the state and then it had the birth rates, but instead of showing them visually, it just had this kind of list of bars, which I didn't think did a very good job of showing it. So what I did well, I actually started originally with showing the counties within North Carolina and then showing North Carolina within the United States. But I thought the North Carolina and counties ones was more informative. And I actually started off with kind of a sequential coloring, and then as I moved on, um, these different colors actually just fit into the infographic more. So it was actually more just kind of a balance choice on that one. But the visual potential is exploited because you can tell, not only can you tell that we're talking about North Carolina by the overall shape of the state, but you can also tell where the counties are, and by the different coloring you can show the birth rate within that county. Alright, so relationships, I kind of just went off on my own on this one. I didn't have something that I was kind of building from. But I wanted to show how much someone would spend on their child in their first year of life. And I just kind of wanted to show how all of those things were connected and um, what had the biggest percentage of it and what had the smallest. So I played around with a few different formats. And this one was the one I liked, especially knowing the space that I wanted to put it in. And so the visual potential for numbers is actually displayed here too because the size of the bubbles actually corresponds to the number, the like monetary number within them. But you can also tell that everything kind of stems from this one title element, and then in the sub elements, actually, it stems off into more subcategories as well. All right, and last but not least, time. So time, I feel like this one's a little bit more straightforward. I have a 30-year time span, and I just wanted to show the change in pregnancies, and then within pregnancies, both live births and abortions, and just kind of show that they are declining, but still obviously a problem. And so it is showing that, yeah, visual potential of over time, what the number is, and kind of showing that visually. All right, that's visual potential.